Hi and welcome to the show, and today is all about thrillers. And first up, we're going to be talking about S.J. Watson's thriller, Before I Go to Sleep. Now guys, this was an amazing book. Did you agree? Did you like it?
Loved it.
Mary, do you want to explain more about it?
Sure, well it's a thriller, so I won't give too much away. But it's about Christine, and she wakes up every morning having no memories, so she loses them overnight and she can only accumulate them during the day. And so she has to rely on her husband for pretty much everything. But one day she gets a call from someone who claims to be her therapist. And she points her to a diary that she's been writing in every day. And so by reading through the entries and keeping them up, she starts realizing that the things her husband's telling her don't add up. Mm-hmm. So she doesn't know who to trust.
The very first scene is so striking because it's like she wakes up, she sees the guy sleeping next to her. She's like, did I have a one-night stand last night? I can't remember. And she goes to the bathroom disorientated and she sees this woman in front of her and she's like, oh, who is this? I don't recognise this person. And she realises it's her, like nearly 20 years in the future. She has no memory of the last 20 years and every day she has the same experience. I mean, what did you think about that? That was just like...
That's like 50 First Dates.
But more serious.
Yeah. Scarier.
There was parts in it where I was a bit like, it's like Groundhog Day. I'm getting really frustrated. But then I was like, the writing was so nice that it was, you kind of really realised that it wasn't necessarily the book or the story. It was actually you're really feeling the character's frustration.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you felt it, the author was quite clever because as soon as you kind of got that feeling, it would change into something new. So you never kind of really wanted to kind of go, oh God, that's really getting too much for me. You wanted to read on because there'd be something new that would be revealed.
Yeah.
And it's so like you get really put in the place of Christine, the protagonist.
The disorientation of it all every day.
Like you don't know any more than she does, and she's completely lost. So you end up reading because you want to know what happens, and it just it gives you so little to go on that you understand how she feels when she says she can't trust anyone. And
I mean, other than her trying to work it out, it's really interesting how her relationship with her husband is, because she doesn't have the memories to remember, that he does, and she's trying to remember how to love him, and she's like, I know I'm meant to love this person, but I don't have the memories to understand why I love this person. So she's looking at him like, okay, I'm going to love you the best way I can without the memory or the experience, the history to go by.
If this
really like...
doesn't actually happen to someone, I don't think there's any way they could stay together, because surely she wouldn't be the person he really loves, and they wouldn't have, obviously they couldn't have any kind of real life, and she wouldn't know him enough. Like, it's such a strange, you can't really have a relationship in that kind of situation.
I know, and that the journal is just amazing, isn't it? Because that's her confidant, that's like her best friend, really.
That's what,
the one thing that fills her in. It's her interpretation of her life on a daily basis, which she has to like reread. You also feel for the husband because he's having to explain her history every single day, and you're like, you're incredibly patient. And I actually felt a little bit suspicious at some points.
But that was what's quite interesting is when she's reading her own thoughts every day in the journal. She's trying so hard to love him more and be physical with him, and because she's reading her own thoughts, she's learning more, and that's almost growing each day, even though she doesn't remember it. So she's trusting her writing and not knowing it's her writing, which is pretty full on for anybody to do.
Something does work in the middle if she's beginning to not even get a phone call saying, remember to read your journal. If she's getting it, then it is.
Well, ultimately, this is a thriller because obviously there are some mysteries to her life. Especially how she even ended up there. I mean, ultimately, did you find it thrilling enough? Like, was this a 10 out of 10, or how would you rate it?
I mean, it's a bit of a light book, so I'd probably give it a 7. But I mean, it was thrilling. I read it all in a night. Couldn't put it down.
Disha?
10. Loved it.
Yeah, me too.
I give it an 8. Sometimes the repetitive things I just didn't have time for. But I relate, that's what that poor lady was going through, the character of the book. So yeah, 8.5.
Okay, I would give it a 10 out of 10. This was like one of my favourite books of the year. I loved it that much. It was that good. So that is S.J. Watson's book, Before I Go to Sleep.